Okay, so we have this pattern, avidya, paccaya, saṅkhāra, and we're going to see this pattern repeated almost throughout the entirety of the Paticcasamuppada until we get to this very end here. In today's video, we're only going to cover this much, and that's going to hopefully keep me from turning this video into something nightmarishly long. Before we jump into the rest of this, I want to add one comment to avidya, paccaya, saṅkhāra. So we're saying that compounded things here, saṅkhāra, or reality as we know it, arises due to the cause of avidya. And I just want to ask this question, dear listener: who or what is ignorant? And keep that in mind as we go through. My feeling is that the Buddha, on purpose, leaves this unanswered for a good reason, maybe for many good reasons. That isn't to say that certain schools of Buddhism have left it, have not answered that question, but I just want to invite you to think about that and ponder it, contemplate that, dear listener. So we have this pattern, and we can see this pattern a little more easily if we do this. So we have this avidya, paccaya, saṅkhāra, and then we have saṅkhārapaccayā, viññāṇaṃ. So due to compounded things, due to the cause of reality as we know it, viññāṇaṃ arises. Now, viññāṇaṃ is sometimes translated as consciousness, and if that works for you, dear listener, by all means, think of it that way. I like to think of the word, or I like to think of it as awareness. And the reason for that is, to me, awareness is just a little broader than consciousness. I think that this Paticcasamuppada has to hold for amoebas and plants, and I don't exactly feel that they're conscious in the same way that people maybe or animals are. Now, you may dispute that. There's certainly a lot of overlap between those words, but that is my take on this, that there's an awareness that arises. This word actually comes from these two parts. Let's see, let me get the some Pali capability here. It comes from this prefix vi and jana. Jana goes back to an ancient Proto-Indo-European root that gives us in English words like knowledge, or just maybe to know. We'll just leave it at that. And in Greek, this great word gnosis, also related to knowing. So we have this word, knowledge, as sort of a basis here. And then this prefix can take on a couple different meanings. It can mean like an expansion or sort of a separation. Both of those can give us a clue as to what this word has come to mean, I think. If we think about it as knowledge which separates, that makes a lot of sense about, or how we perceive ourselves, sense ourselves to be separate from the rest of the world. And not only that, how the rest of the world has these separate entities. So that's one way to think about this. Another one is if we're thinking about like expansive knowledge. I mean, certainly our awareness goes out into the world like that, expands and expands. So those are just some ideas on how this might be understood. And again, this awareness arises due to our, due to saṅkhāra, due to the way we perceive reality, which again is not the correct way. So we want to keep that in mind. At the very root here is ignorance, and everything else flows and unfolds and kind of flowers from that. Viññāṇapaccayā nāmarūpaṃ. So, due to the cause of awareness or consciousness, nāmarūpaṃ arises. This is a shorthand way of talking about the 5 khandas. And I meant to put the word 5 there. The 5 khandas, Vedana, or after, let's put it like this. There's nama and rupa. Rupang. Rupang is body, and nama is standing for sort of the mental component of the khandas, and that's actually 4 of the 5. So this is one of the 5. Rupang is one of the 5. The other 4 are Vedana, feeling, Saññā, perception, saṅkhāra, mental formations, and viññāṇaṃ, consciousness. This, another way to think about nāmarūpa is just the mind-body complex, and mind-body unity. So we talked about this a little bit. It came up in daily Pali reading on Milindapañho, what relinks, patisandahati, rebirth. So due to awareness, we get this mind-body complex. Due to the mind-body complex, paccayā, saḷāyatanaṃ. So this is quite literally 6. You might think about it as spheres or extents, or a 6-sphered apparatus. Maybe that would be probably a little loquacious to put it that way. We don't need all that, but this is 6, and ayatanaṃ is some sort of sphere or extent. This is our sense apparatus. So seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and then cognizing are the 6 senses that are being talked about here. They arise due to our mind-body complex. And then due to our mind-body complex, phasso, contact with the world arises.